Hello, and welcome to the Frivolous and Frugal Knitting Podcast. We are two sisters who share our fondness for knitting, the things that we create, and our love for the knitting community. And we do it all with a little twist of both the frivolous and the frugal. I am Frivolous Dawn, and in our family's birth order, I am the fourth of 8 children. And look at this. Who are you? We are face to face.
We are so excited. And in the birth order, I am the oldest and I am frugal Miss Penny, which is why we're not in separate rooms. We're going to conserve space and sit next to one another and probably electricity. Anyway, we are so glad you joined us. To our returning viewers, we have a hearty welcome. We're so glad you've made time to be with us again this week. And as always, we hope you glean a nugget or two. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, welcome. We have the best knitting community.
Oh, amen.
Don't you think?
Yep, absolutely.
I'm telling you, they're gracious, they're kind. It's just a wonderful community. So please enjoy yourself during this episode and feel free to chime in on our YouTube discussion thread. But this is episode 60. So it is time to grab your knitting, your favorite note-taking device, and your sense of humor and join us for episode 60 of the Frivolous and Frugal podcast. Take it away, Dawn.
It is so fun to be sitting next to you. I'm like a 2-year-old. It's like,
I agree. It's way too cool.
We have traveled to Ohio for my, I always think, how do I say this? I guess it's my mother-in-law's funeral, my husband's mom. So
yes.
Bad circumstance, but good reason to get together and knit a little bit. I am wearing the Dissent cowl. So that's what's around my neck. It is a pattern by Carissa Browning, and it's navy. I know sometimes that looks black, but the navy color is a Carlton sport weight. It's Carlton yarns, Merino sport weight. And the pinky, orangey, whatever kind of you want to call that, is by Itty Bitty. And I have to read it because otherwise I'd probably make some inappropriate comments following Itty Bitty. Okay, all right, anyway. Sugar Bush Yarns, Itty Bitty, in the pastel pizzazz, and it was on a US 6. I'm thinking this is a kit I got at Magpies.
I like it.
And boy, if you want to see some different color combinations, the one that I saw on Ravelry is black and white. And what a stunning, for me, yes, black and white. What a stunning color palette. I'm not so sure. Lack of color palette. But yeah, that's what I have around my neck. And I didn't bring Ruby.
I know. No, we left Opal in the closet too. Anyway, I am wearing something you've all seen before. It is the Willow Cowl by Amelia Lyon. I knitted in the KnitCircus Thrilling base in the Pisces colorway. It is on a US size 6 in the frugalometer. $5 signs for the fiber, 1 for the pattern.
Yeah.
So
that, I have a couple, I think 1 or 2 Willow Cowls. I love them.
I do too. This one, not quite tall enough for a giraffe, but it definitely has a nice little, what would you say? It just lays nicely.
That's what I like about it. And I love this edging, whatever. I'm sure there's a name for that when you do that.
It's not quite, it is actually a folded hem with the picots.
Picot, that's the word I couldn't think of.
Yeah, it's a folded hem, which I like. I think that's what keeps it laying flat.
I agree. And you can make that as long or as short as you want based on whatever yarn or whatever you're looking for. Because I think the pattern has like 6 repeats. I've never done the full 6. I think I've done 5. But a skein of fingering weight, there's a 1 skein, wonder. And I think for a new knitter who wants to learn to knit in the round, that's a great pattern.
I would agree, because by the time I had knit my 4th or 5th one, I didn't even need the pattern.
Right.
Because that's what I took with me on the ship.
Oh, that's right.
That's where I knit them all. So what's on your needles there, young lady?
I'll do that in a minute when I get done with the row.
Okay.
Let's start with this one. This is Sweet Little Nothing by Miss Susan Beganos. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Pink Shawl Girl.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get the yarn a little bit closer. It is going to be a gradient. There we go.
Ooh, pretty.
And I'm using a US 4 just like the pattern calls for, and let's see if I can get right side. So it's going to be a long, shallow, and it's going to sit like here on your neck and then go around. I think I have about 200 stitches on the needles, so I'm not quite halfway. First time I've ever done a picot as you go border, so I'm enjoying that. There'll be picots on that bottom edge, and I probably will put the beads on.
Oh,
We'll
will
see
you?
when we get there. I have some like clear silvery beads, so it should go well. The yarn I am using is KnitCircus Trampoline. Oh, we're getting some glare there. See if I can get it.
There you go.
Yeah, Trampoline. That's what's the word? 100% superwash merino. The colorway is Put Me in the Zoo Speckle Trampoline base. Pattern, we were gifted it, so I will call that a 1 on the frugalometer. And the yarn, I would have to go 5 as well for the price of that yarn. We are doing that as a knit along in our Ravelry discussion boards. Pink is doing an unbelievable job moderating that. The patience, clearly articulating questions that people have. She's helping with the yarn choice. If you have any questions, I know she's been helping people with bead choices. What an active discussion board. So if that's something you want to do, it's a knit along that we're running from now for 3 months. So we decided May, June, July. We'll be randomly giving some prizes for that as we go too. So welcome if anybody found our podcast to do the knit along via the 3-ply ladies. But even if you're not knitting it, I'd encourage you to go look at just how the shawl changes based on yarn choice. Amazing. So that is one thing on my needles. How about you?
I only have one thing on my needles because I am monogamous. All right. And I am also late to the party. I am doing the Antler Toque, and I think that was our February knit along. Hat knit along?
March, I don't know.
March, yes, somewhere in there. So I just cast it on. This is a free pattern on Ravelry. It is by tincanknits. And if you will see, that's what the pattern looks like. Very cute. It is being knit right now in Plymouth Encore, which is what I had left over. I have no idea how much I have. I didn't weigh it. I just cast it on.
You live on the edge,
Well,
girl.
and I also live in a state of confusion because my dear sister had to help me walk through this pattern this morning. And I appreciate that, by the way. I got confused. So anyway, I am knitting it on size 6s and 8s, which is what the pattern calls for. And so if anyone else is doing our knit along, be sure to post pictures. And I know I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth because I never post pictures, just like I never block my knits. So I do block them, but very far apart. So I'll try to get better with that.
We talked a little bit last night about blocking wingspan and then got distracted, and
we were knitting.
So that was fun.
Yeah, it was.
So we'll eventually get it. But you guys, I got to play with it. And so I think we're going to be able to aggressively block it. So.
Yes. And I'm going to rely on your expertise for that.
Yeah.
So if you hear large squeals from the Midwestern states, it's just wingspan on the blocks.
Yeah. And we talked too about using vinegar in the water when you do your soak.
Yes.
Or your wash, not your soak. Yeah. So interested to see what the color fastness of that yarn is going to be.
Yes. And we'll report back. And there are also more detailed notes on my project page that are there and will be added as this goes on. What else is on your needles? Keep talking. You're at the end. Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to let you know that we are so grateful for the comments you've been putting in Ravelry, especially those of you who are also monogamous, such as myself. And I wanted to let you know that I did take your advice. Several of our viewers suggested that I have a brainless knit on the needles. So my alliteration scarf is going to be my brainless knit if I'm out in public. So I am going to do that because I think that's wise. And you gave me permission to still be monogamous. So thanks for the leniency, which is, by the way, what some teachers do for their students, rather than take 400 points from them.
Oh, I like to take 400 points.
Okay.
Or get 400 if it's brilliant. All right.
So what's on your
You
needle?
might have to hold this.
I think I will. I would
So,
love to.
This is the
Oh.
Boneyard Shawl. And as much as I wanted to get it done, I am on the border. So this is a pattern by Stephen West. It's a free pattern. Let's come in a little bit closer, or can they see the speckles? So Tweedy bits, as I call them. So this is knit with Sueno Tweed in the creamy, is it creamy oatmeal, creamy?
It is creamy. Creamy. My notes are right here, Dawn.
Okay. Oh, if we hide behind her, they won't see us looking at the notes.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
Anyway, it's
I know
one
it
of the
is.
Sueno colors, and you know what? I bet I have the ball band.
Oh, comforting cream.
Oh, comforting cream. How did
there
I
it
forget?
is. Comforting
Yep.
cream.
And I'm literally following the pattern. And so I did do the increases using the yarn overs as opposed to the make one right, make one left. So you can really see those. I am about to the end of my third skein of Sueno, which is exactly what it called for. And I bet I'm going to have very little left over. So again, this is a pattern again for new knitters. I think it's a really good first shawl. In fact, that's why I'm making it, because I'm going to teach a class in June. And you make it as long as you want. So the pattern is written for either fingering weight or DK. This is the DK version. And I just think it is a nice learning to increase a few little garter ridges. It'll end with a garter pattern. I'm doing the final garter, and it's a little harder there. You can see that a little bit. So I am liking it now. Just so you know, I did not do a gauge swatch, which I rarely do, but I think it's going to be a little deeper than what the pattern calls for, but I think the width is going to be right. So I think Sueno as a yarn tends to grow. So like in a shawl, that doesn't matter, but those of you who are garment knitters, that'd be something to consider. Again, Sueno Tweed is new to us, at least in Wisconsin. I don't know how long it's been out. It comes in about 6 or 7 different colors, and the Tweedy bits are the exact same colors in all of the different colorways. So I think that's kind of interesting as well. So.
And can I just mention something I thought, Dawn? If you are a new knitter, like she said, and you're knitting this, this is a great increase section to learn how to read your knitting. So as you're knitting, it will become obvious if you messed up. And that's one thing that's so important in knitting is learning. No, but I can hold up something of mine that'll show you where I messed up. So anyway, I just think it's a great pattern.
Yeah, nice shawl. And again, free. So on the frugalometer, I'd call the pattern a 1. Sueno, I would probably call 3 on my frugalometer. And again, you need 3 skeins of DK, or about 700. Why do I think DK is usually, is it around 300 yards a skein? So maybe
somewhere around in there.
So for Stephen West shawl, this is a small shawl.
Absolutely. It was one of his earlier shawls, wasn't it?
His very first. Yes.
His very first. Yeah. There you go.
So very good.
Cool.
Now I'd ask what else is on your needles, but I know better.
That's right.
I just have one other thing I'm actively working on, and that is that vintage Prim hat. Now I had this last week where I noticed a tumor growing on my hat and I needed to frog it. So I went back to the bottom here again, and then I got about as much knit again, and I held it up to the mirror and oh my goodness, there was another glaring error. So you're just starting to see the pattern once again. For those of you who do brioche, the stitch that's causing me trouble, and I think it's just me over analyzing, is a brioche left slanting decrease. I don't like the way it looks compared to the right slanting decrease, so I think I'll get over it. Now, don't think that's a hole there. That is a mega increase in brioche, which will tighten when you block it. And so I am using the navy, or the blue is called Marine. That's a color of Heritage, Cascade Heritage sock. And then the gray is by Sweet Fiber. It is a single ply yarn in the birch colorway. I think I bought that yarn to do a Helen Stewart shawl. So interesting. I have a twisted yarn and a single. So we'll see what happens when I block it. Now, the pattern is interesting. Only half the hat is brioche. The back half is just these garter ridges of the 2 colors. So I'll be interested to see what that looks like blocked out. So I won't dare say there went some needles or stitches off my needles. I don't know if I'll have this done by next week. This is my I need to think pattern, and we're in finals week. So
Yes.
I don't know if I'll get too much done this week, but that is all. Well, I continue to work on our year-long projects. And then I literally just have one round casted on of the new hat pattern, which is a copycat CC or CC copycat. That is also linked in our hat knit along discussion board on Ravelry. But yeah, it would do me no good to show you the cast on edge. So, so that is all that's currently on my needles. How about what's off your needles?
Well, I do have one project off my needles. Thank you for asking. And it is the Hermes hat by Miss Beatrice Rubio. And I think it's hard to see those cables, isn't it?
It is definitely hard.
Well, that's part of what I learned this week. And that is I used a tonal. And so tonals in and of themselves, you can kind of see it.
You can kind of see them, but you're right there.
Because of the tonals. So anyway, I think once you get it on, they'll be more prominent and pronounced because you can see them a little bit better there. So as I said, it is by Miss Beatrice Rubio. I hope those of you who attended our virtual knit night a week ago enjoyed Miss Beatrice as our special guest. She shared her not only knitting journey, but her designing journey with us. And we can't thank you enough, darling. We appreciate you making time to be a part of our event. This was knit in, and I cannot pronounce the fiber correctly. So it is on my project page in a tonal pink. I knit it on sizes 4 and 6, I believe. Yes, I did. Huasco is what we always call it, right? Yeah. Huasco. Anyway, on the Frugalometer, $1 for each. The pattern was free, and I believe Miss Joanne included this yarn in one of our goodie bags.
I think it was. It must be because I have it in taupe colors, tonal.
Yes, and that is Miss Joanne from Magpie Fibers in Sheboygan Falls. So thank you, Miss Joanne, for that. And thank you, Miss Beatrice. And just so you know, I realize this is down here. I never trim until I block, and gee, somebody hasn't washed it yet. That shouldn't surprise us. But can I just share something I learned with this?
Yes,
it is just a tidbit. In this pattern, and it's a free pattern, isn't it?
I don't know.
Okay, maybe I misspoke. I'll have to look up. Anyway, there are times when you are knitting cables that the cable abbreviation looks very similar. And if you are quickly glancing at a pattern, you might not notice that one cable is just a knit cable, the other has a purl to it, just depends. Wingspan was definitely like that. So what I do, and I'm just going to come back at an angle, I highlight different color stitches with my highlighter. I think that's a great tip, especially for new people when it comes to doing a new stitch. Even in brioche, make sure you highlight that brioche stitch. So that would be one of my tips for this week. Take a moment to highlight that pattern before you start knitting it so you don't get frustrated.
Just makes it easier to follow, especially if in parentheses is the stitch count or something for all the different sizes. And so as much as I appreciate size inclusivity, if there's 6 numbers in parentheses and I only need one of those numbers, I could easily misread. So highlighter, color pencil, crayon, lipstick, whatever you have handy. Lip gloss.
Magic marker.
Ooh, Play-Doh. Oh, I guess it would have to be transparent.
Well, yes, and not movable. I'm sorry, could you please move your Play-Doh so I can see my next row? Dawn, that would never fly at a knitting retreat. Gosh, they would think we're backwoods people. Ooh, look what's off your needles.
The Point Edward mitts. That's a free pattern on Ravelry. They are for my stepdaughter. She picked out the yarn. Socks that rock in the mystery tour colorway. The pattern calls for worsted weight. I held the fingering double. So I just pulled from both ends of the ball. Don't know if I would do that again because of the twisting. Next time I would skein up 50 grams and then skein up 50 grams. So I'd have 2 separate just for the pull. Nice pattern. It's all twisted rib, which I think is a pain when I'm knitting it, but I like the look of it. It's twisted rib up here and then a little bit on the thumb. It was fun to do twisted rib on the thumb. I did make a couple of changes to the pattern. The cuff was much longer so that you could fold it back. She didn't want that extra fabric, and the same with the fingers. They recommend that you do this ribbing to the tip of your fingers and then roll it back. But again, she didn't want that extra fabric in here. She liked them so much when we gave them to her yesterday that she wants another pair, but just in different yarns. So yeah, and Socks at Rock is by Blue Moon Fibers. The pattern is free, so I'd give that 1 on the Frugalometer. This is an indie dyed. I'm going to guess I'd probably put a 3 on the Frugalometer. Yeah. So, and I don't know about you, maybe because we live in colder environments, I like a little longer cuff. So if it's underneath my coat and I stretch my arms, I don't get that exposure to get the cold. So
I would agree.
And of course she wants fingerless so that she can text. So
very nice.
I like them. I'm gonna hate to give them to her today. Not really. She'll appreciate them. Nice gusset increases if you're into that. Again, Point Edward mitts and I got those on Ravelry.
Wow, you knitting machine. I believe one of our viewers even call you that.
A knitting machine. How is
you
that?
are.
Are you so frugal that we're sharing the same cup of coffee?
No. And that bothers you? What do you not find frugal about that? Anyway, what are we learning? We've had several learning experiences this week, haven't we? I'll go ahead and share what I learned. And that is, I'm going to go back to this tonal hat. Love my Hermes hat, but it messed with my head because the variations in the tonal are pretty significant in some places. And I even told you all in our last episode, I was going to have to tink back because it looked wonky. Well, when I tinked back, my stitches were correct. It was an optical illusion because of the variation in the yarn. I don't think I've ever experienced that before. I really like tonals, but I had never had it really give me an illusion that caused me to question my knitting. So just keep that in mind because if you have something that has a pattern like mine, I thought I could get by with a tonal knit and it didn't work. But I tell you what, I wanted some fiber to knit that felt good. That was not fingering. And this is DK weight. I think I'm still going to keep the hat. I'm not going to frog it. But
I wouldn't. But you know, we are on that constant journey in our knitting of right pattern, right yarn, because I'm preaching to the choir, but if you're going to put that much time and that much effort into a garment, you either have to let the yarn talk or the pattern talk. And when they're both talking, so to speak, they fight. So you lose. So now that'll be an amazing hat to wear. It'll be warm. The color is spectacular. I don't know if many people would comment on the design in the hat because that's what you might lose.
Right.
So,
I would agree.
Again, if you look at our knit along discussion board, you'll see some hats where it's just a solid color where you really see that. Brianna was brilliant and just made the whole thing color work. So then that cable really stands out. People did different brims. Some of them just did the folded brim as written. Some of them just knit an extra long brim and then flipped it. So and speaking of hats, I know this is I'm going rogue here.
Go for it.
I watch a lot of podcasts and a lot of people now are knitting the Musselburgh.
I know you've mentioned that a couple
that's
times.
A pattern by Isolde Tig and I'm intrigued by it. So maybe that'll be something I cast on in the future, but I understand I've bought the pattern. I've yet to read it. It is a paid for pattern on Ravelry. But the variations that people are doing with that simple pattern for totally different looks is what made me think of that. So if you're out perusing Ravelry and you want to type in Musselburgh, it's a one skein hat, but it's written for different weights, different gauges. And I'm intrigued by people who can write patterns like that.
I know. I
which
know.
means I'm going to have to do a gauge swatch.
Oh, yes, you
Well,
are.
she just says knit the first inch
Okay.
and then do a count for stitches per inch and then follow the appropriate number through the rest of the pattern.
Oh, that's nice.
So I think that's probably a brilliant designer trick that Ysolda did. I say Ysolda like we're BFFs, right?
Hey, well, I think you might have an in to the person who chooses the hat pattern for the hat, Cal. Maybe I can drop her a line and have her put that for June.
Maybe or July or August. But it's a paid for pattern. I know most of those are not, are they? In your hat
Well,
patterns?
I kind of alternate those.
Oh.
Some paid for and some free.
Okay.
And I will just tell you, can I just go rogue for a second? On my frugalometer, the frugalometer was designed not to have definitive dollar amounts because we have different exposable incomes, right? Different amounts of money that we can put toward our knitting. And excuse me, on my frugalometer, I really am going for, if you can, a cost benefit analysis. So my frugalometer is going to be different than Dawn's. And what I try to do is keep all of our patterns on my frugalometer between $1 sign and at the max $3 signs. So I have a variety of paid for patterns in there, but they're not expensive because I have a personal limit. I don't care what the hat looks like. I'm not going to pay a certain amount. I'm not going to pay that or above. And so I think people should be able to find it within most of our means, I'm guessing, because they're going to be closer to the $1 sign.
Yeah. So if we ever go 5, that's like, whoa, that is like, we're pushing our limits.
Yes,
I don't
I
even
would
know
agree.
how to spell cost benefit analysis. So obviously I've never done one and I chase bright, shiny objects.
Well, yes, you do.
So I'm very much, I succumb to, I see a yarn on a podcast. I pause the podcast and I go buy the yarn.
You actually did that. Was it yesterday at the table you showed me an order you put in?
Yeah.
Oh, and it's all your fault, viewers, because you mentioned all sorts of new wool washes we had never even tried. So thank you. We're giving you a hard time. But yeah, we both did a little bit of impulse shopping yesterday.
We are going to try some of the different wool washes. So we'll come back to that in just a minute. As far as what I'm learning, it's exactly what Penny's learning, and that is what's up with wonky stitches. All right, so stop the wonkiness. I don't even know if wonky is a really word, but it should be if it's not. Let's see if I can show you my wonky stitch. So you'll see here where this brioche is curving, right? And I want everything to be dark blue to touch. Do you see that little gray?
I do.
Oh, that's that brioche left leaning decrease. So now, here's what I'm supposed to do. Turn it so you don't see it. Oh, doesn't that look nice? Yes. But it looks wonky to me. I've torn it out twice. I've watched like 10 videos. The pattern's written perfect. Every video showed doing it the same way. Get over it, Dawn. So I refuse to tear it out one more time, at least for that error. So third time is charm and wonky stitches. Watch out for them. And do you ever find that you hyper analyze your own knitting? Something looks, you're 6 inches from your face and it looks horrid. Now, for those of you who have never tried this trick, don't do it. We were at the hotel the other night and I'm in the bathroom holding up my knitting in the bathroom mirror because I was a little embarrassed last week during the podcast when I found this thing growing out of my knitting. I was like, well, how did that happen? I'm sitting 6 inches from it and I don't see it.
Well, therein lies the challenge because you are not looking for that, right?
Right.
I think most of us look to make sure we're knitting the stitch correctly and we're not looking for abnormalities.
Yeah. And I did see I dropped a stitch while I was sitting here.
Okay. Okay.
So it's teaching me to read my brioche, definitely. There's a couple of us that are going to try to do this as an online class to see how it goes. So this would be brioche in the round, now with increases and decreases. So that's really about as fancy as brioche, simple brioche gets. I know Nancy Marchant, kind of the leader, has now started doing brioche lace. Oh, the brain space I would need for that originally would be amazing.
Yes, it would, at least.
So, I guess that's a nice segue to what's happening at Frivolous and Frugal.
Absolutely. So, as you know, we never lack for anything to do in Frivolous and Frugal, and this month is no exception. So, let me tell you what's going on. Again, we want to thank you, new subscribers. How exciting that we're getting new subscribers. The moment we hit 2,000, we are going to have a big giveaway. So, we'll keep you posted on that. The YouTube giveaway is this week.
Yeah.
Actually, we posed the question last week, what is your favorite wool wash and why? And sincerely, thank you so much for all of your ideas because, as Dawn said, these are new to us. So we're going to give them a try. But through the random post generator, we had a winner last night. Hey, yeah, we are excited. And that winner is Maggie Two Sticks. Congratulations, darling. Please send me or email me your mailing address and we'll get your little goodies in the mail. But her favorite wash happens to be Eucalyptus. We saw that there were two prominent washes, Eucalyptus and Soak. And both of them have the same feature, or Eucalyptus has a feature of no rinsing. No one replied or shared that it caused any bleeding. Some people who had used Soak found that it did cause some bleeding of the dye in the material. So those were two different things that we saw. And they're going to be higher on the frugalometer than some of the other suggestions. Now, can I say one other thing about Eucalyptus? To the best of our knowledge, it is the only wool wash that has lanolin. So if you are using it to wash wool, it will replace some of the lanolin in the fiber. That'll give it some better substance and it'll have that memory. It'll replace some of the memory in it and keep it softer. But the frugal options were baby shampoo, Dawn dish soap, or regular hair shampoo.
Yeah, and woolite. Quite a few people said woolite.
Yes. So thank you so much. And thank you, Miss Maggie, for sharing your fondness for Eucalyptus and your very creative idea for Dawn's felted cowl. And by the way, you all just had us giggling. Oh, can I say one more thing? I don't have an explanation for this, but I need to share it. I spent hours replying to all your posts on YouTube and none of them are showing. Dawn and I worked on that last night. We cannot figure out, we did it right in front of us. We watched it and none of my responses showed up. So if you are a YouTube guru and you are better than their help desk, please let us know. I'm not blocked on her side, nothing. We can't find any blocks. So would you give us, if you have any suggestions, let us know what happened. So please don't think I was not conscientious. I read every single post. So I apologize.
Well, and you put a thumbs up. So that's how I always know that you've read them.
Yes. And if you saw your thumbs up taken down, that's because we were trying to experiment and troubleshoot why I wasn't posting.
That was frustrating. We've got to figure that out.
Yeah, we do.
And thank you for all the comments on what to do with my crazy cowl. My joke was after my anger management classes are finished, I'll probably be able to do something with that. And you know, the other thing that I was amazed with all the comments on the wool washes is how people commented to the scent of the wool wash that they liked. So a couple new ones to us was Tuft Woolens. So I did place an order for a couple of different scents of theirs. Adela recommended.
It looks like E-Cover. I don't know if it's Eco-Ever. I don't know how you pronounce it, but on the bottle it's Eco and then Ever is below it. So Eco-Ever.
And you're going to order that. And then Kookaburra was another. I've never heard of that wool wash before. So we're going to try some. What I love people saying is they enjoy the no rinse aspects of some of the wool washes. And I thought it was a clever question Penny asked. And I gleaned so much of it. I'm selfish for that reason, is because I would never thought to ask that question. And the things I learned was amazing. So thank you. Thank you for all of your willingness to share that.
Absolutely. And speaking of thank yous, We would like you to continue to post in the Finish, Fix, Frog, or Flip It Cal. No, Finish, Fix, Flip, or Frog It Cal. Because we'll be drawing another gift as a thank you in episode 62. So hang in there, keep posting those pictures. And by the way, I have to tell you, you are a gracious group of people.
Oh, yeah.
The way you encourage the other knitters, it just blesses us. So thank you for doing that. Also, as Dawn mentioned earlier, our May hat cow is the Copycat CC beanie. And our May ornament cow pattern is the purple personalized bauble ornaments by Anna Wadler. And those links are in our show notes on Ravelry, as well as in the posts and threads in Ravelry. Did we ever decide what we're doing with the saltwater mittens, Cal?
I know, I have to ask Jen. So.
Okay, we don't know yet. It's still in there. So if you're knitting them, post, right? Okay, and
or
we'll
Jen,
probably,
if you're watching, you can let us know.
yeah, please let us know. And then we will draw that to a close, and you will see a thread in there for this sweet little nothing Cal we're doing with Pink Shawl Girl, Miss Pink. And again, post, we'll probably draw sometime all the knitting aunties. What did you put in my coffee? What did you put in my coffee? Anyway, we're going to be meeting face to face with all the knitting aunties. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
We'll be doing that over the next weekend. So maybe we'll just draw when we're together, and that way we can pass out some more fun gifts.
Those of you who love our Miss Brianna, she graduated this week.
did.
So we got to watch her virtually. And we're going to go back to Iowa next weekend to celebrate her graduation.
We
so
are.
We are more proud of that young lady.
Mm-hmm. Also, the Chicago mini meetup is a go. Mark your calendars for Friday, July 30th or Saturday, July 31st. All the details are going to be in the Ravelry thread. We have upcoming virtual knit together. It is scheduled for next Saturday, May 22nd from 10 a.m. to noon Central Standard Time. As always, we'll post that the Zoom thread in Ravelry. And if you want it via email, please let me know. I'll add your name to the list. And it is just 2 hours packed solid with knitting chat. That's all we do. We share our projects, ideas, inspirations, and it's always with the understanding that you will participate at your own level of comfort. So if you don't feel like sharing or talking, we don't force you to do that. So that is next Saturday.
And I did read a comment saying somebody loved being on our knit night last month or earlier this month, I guess, but was crocheting and didn't want to show a crochet project. So I apologize. I just assume whatever you're working on, you could be doing English paper piecing, you could be, well, macrame, that'd probably be a little hard to do. But whatever you're working on, if you want to share it, don't ever, ever hesitate, because I think we all get inspired for different reasons over different projects. So please feel comfortable to share whatever it is that you would like to share.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because it doesn't have to be just for knitting, okay? And then if you are unable to do the morning, or if you would like to do the morning and the evening, our June evening knit night is going to be on Saturday, June 12th from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Once again, we'll post the link and we will encourage you to participate at your own level of comfort. Right now, we are not choosing to have any guest speakers for this coming Saturday morning knit together or the June knit night, virtual knit night. So we're just going to use that time to spend with you guys.
Absolutely.
How's that sound?
I love that.
All right. Now, do you have any questions or anything else?
Do you have some thank yous?
I do have some thank yous. Do you have any other announcements?
Oh, I don't.
Are you planning like something behind my back or anything?
I am not. That would take energy.
Double dog dares?
Oh, maybe some. Oh, yeah. Future projects, but I better finish the ones on my needles first.
Okay. All right. Just guessing.
But maybe mohair.
I'm out.
I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Like mohair.
We do have some thank yous, and I have to tell you, Dawn and I are humbled. In fact, we just kind of get choked up that people even think of us outside of this little podcast. And two of those people, number one is Miss Karen from Karen's Hobby Room. And Miss Karen designed.
Oh, that's so hard with the light, isn't
It
it?
is. Miss Karen designed and gave us little accoutrement tins. And she mentioned the fact that I try to keep a removable stitch marker on the zippers of my project bags or in a project bag so that if I ever need or lose one, it's handy. And wouldn't you know, she gave me several. So Miss Karen, thank you so much, darling. And her link is in the show notes. We encourage you to go to her Etsy shop. She will design, she has oodles of designs, stitch markers, progress keepers.
Progress keepers.
I don't know if I like that term.
And that's where I get my right side markers that just say RS. So depending on the project, I know what's right side, wrong side. And maybe some tins in the future for some giveaways.
Maybe that might look something like I just showed you. So
Yeah.
if you didn't catch it, rewind and take another look. And then our dear Miss Renee. Miss Renee, we just got together, so we had no idea what you gave us, but she gave each of us, Dawn and Miss Brianna and I, the magnetic knitting pattern holder. Miss Renee, you have no idea. This has been in my Amazon shopping basket for probably 3 years. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. Thank you, darling, so much. And I hope you know how much we just love you. So those are the thank yous I have in addition to all those who participated last week in the virtual knit night. I've got to tell you, we were just saying this morning, you were, Dawn, how much we look forward to those virtual knitting events.
Crazy. I love those days.
I know. And you were so patient with us. Those of you who came, we had a little technical glitch and we got it figured out. So it just kind of took login a little bit longer.
Yeah, and just a last little reminder, our summer schedules with traveling and stuff are going to be a little off. So we still hope to do our best to go weekly, but please don't panic if we're not live or we don't upload on the day that we usually do. So it'll be there. And if you're ever concerned, just let us know and we'll kind of tell you what our schedule is. So again, we're traveling to Iowa next week. So we plan on podcasting, but when we can get that edited and uploaded, maybe a little delayed. So
absolutely. And as we forgot to mention, someone forgot to mention in the intro, we have another person in Frivolous and Frugal, and that is our dear sister, Faithful Nikki. And she always has a bit of wit and wisdom to share with us. And this episode is no different. So what would Nikki say? This is what she would say. There will always be bumps in the road or bumps in your knitting. Can I insert that? Okay. There will always be bumps in the road, whether it's teaching, knitting, or golfing. Remember to take a deep breath, reassess, and you will find a way to conquer and continue.
Isn't that true that taking a breath, backing off are so helpful? And I don't know about you, but it tends to happen to me later in the evening. So if I make a mistake and it's late at night, you think I would learn the lesson to go to bed and look at it again in the morning, because otherwise I get frustrated and I want to tinker, frog something when really all I need is a headspace to try to figure something out. So
absolutely.
Very wise Sister Nikki, who, if you don't know her, is more frugal than that one, if you can imagine that. So I am, I feel so heavy to respond to the frivolous side of things because I'm so surrounded with frugal.
You're definitely an outlier in our family.
In our family, I'm the outlier.
You are.
What's up with that? Anyway,
it's that time. Thank you so much for tuning into episode 60. We've enjoyed spending time with you and with one another, and we look forward to seeing you in episode 61. And until then, we hope your week is a sweet twist of the Frivolous and Frugal. Have a wonderful week of fiber adventures. Chat with you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.